Okay, Laura, so I just took a moment I wanted to get some stuff, get some information clear before I proceeded, because I brought up Matthew Gillespie as a person I spoke to, and as of August 15, 2020, Matthew Gillespie was a senior city planner for the Los Angeles City Planning Department. This was his information, and I got this from an email that conversation that I had with him, which actually started on August 14, 2020. And so I guess the best way to proceed is to just read it. I'm going to forward this to you also. I'm going to zoom in and maybe I can pan. Okay, so this was a follow-up. This is actually Mr. Gillespie's response to an email that I sent as a follow-up to a conversation I had with him. Two conversations I had with him, I think, the previous day. And, you know, from that, everything else is kind of self-explanatory. So it goes as, this is Mr. Gillespie talking to me. This is what he wrote on August 14th, 2020, at 4:39 p.m. See below. You found some big buildings that largely predated many of our current affordability requirements. However, 6677 Santa Monica should have some. Matt. And that was in response to an email that I wrote to him. He quoted my email that he was responding to. I guess I sent that just about like 20 minutes earlier at 4:22 p.m. that same day. I wrote to him, "Hi Matt, this is Martel Walker. We just spoke on the phone about the identification and tier verification of participating properties in the TOC Affordable Housing Incentive Program." That's Transit-Oriented Communities is what TOC stands for. These are the three primary properties that I've been looking at for my sister and her daughter. So at the time, we actually, this actually started with me looking for emergency housing for my sister and my niece. And of course, it's kind of spilled into our housing search because we were largely in the same kind of financial and housing need circumstance. But anyway, continuing. As I said before, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to clarify many of the dizzying complexities of finding these set-aside on-site rental units. And that's true because it is very difficult to find, and for a variety of reasons, for a couple of reasons, which is why we need a patient advocate. But anyway, I said, I hope you have a great weekend, and this program looks amazing. And I say that from the perspective of having to deal with affordable housing most of my 49 years. It's true. I was 49 at the time. I had been, affordable housing has always been a consideration, some way or another, in my life. So these are the three properties. The first one that I asked about was 6677 Santa Monica Boulevard, Los Angeles, Ava Hollywood at La Pietra Place. That was our apartment complex. And this is what Mr. Gillespie stated about its participation in the transit-oriented affordable housing incentive program. He said it not TOC, but they should have 5% very low income units per this approval letter. So like 30 to 40 units by my count. It would have required more affordability under today's policies. Essentially what he's saying is that our apartment building was a little too old by just a month or so. If they had approved it a month later, and I think they approved it in December 2014. If they approved it a month later in January 2015, it would have had the more affordability units under different law. But the other properties, he said 6677 6775 Selma Avenue in Hollywood, which is another comparable apartment complex in Madera, Hollywood. He says not no affordable units. It would have required more affordability under today's policies. Once again, that property was just a little too old. And the last one that I was looking at was, similar property, except this was the one in West LA. And when he said it was no affordable units, as far as I can tell, this would have required payment of an affordability housing fee or on-site units today. So the affordable housing fee would have been, that's the developer's opt-out option, which is something apparently nobody ever takes for a couple of different reasons. It's a very high fee, and also you lose out on the zoning concessions, which end up being far more profitable for the developer than saving the fee, the opt-out fee, paying the opt-out fee. So I'm going to pull back from this. The point is that this was in 2020, and I did a lot of follow-up research and tracking of various properties throughout Los Angeles, new apartment buildings, and there are ways to track this, and virtually everyone that was built after or had begun development per a LA City Planning Division Department's approval after 2015, January 2015, would have several affordability-based set-aside units under Los Angeles City's present housing policies. But the problem is that it requires a lot of phone work, a lot of kind of legwork of someone just to follow up, because the surprise, the issue that I ran into, that my sister ran into, and a lot of people most people run into when they're searching for these units, is that the apartment complexes just lie and say they don't have them, or that there's waiting lists or whatever else. In fact, Ava did that. But there's easy ways. There are mandated, legally, statutorily mandated ways to verify the existence and the availability of these on-site units at every one of these new apartment complexes going up around Los Angeles, and the public has access to them. And the parts that they don't have access to, the local housing department, which is the Housing and Community Development Department of LA, which is the housing department here. They have a compliance unit. I actually spoke to those people, and they stated that if you ever have a problem and there was information that in terms of verifying whether or not these units are available at any given property, if the landlords or the property management company wouldn't give you access to that, then a simple request to their department would trigger that office getting that information and verifying it. So the bottom line is that a patient advocate, especially a good one, who is set, who is assigned this task, would have an unimaginably high return on investment, no matter how much they cost. Because Lindsay and I are still technically extremely low income by statute. In fact, I think I have a document here which actually states it. Where is it? It's TOC guidelines. This is actually from February 26, 2018. This is from this mayor's office, Garcetti at the time. And it goes in and it talks about this particular program. This was actually prepared by Matthew Glesney, I think. there's his name again. And they give various definitions. They state the purpose of this affordability program, and they go through definitions, and they state, extremely low income households is defined in section 50106 of the California Health and Safety Code, and actually have that, and we fit that, because we technically can't. We have no income, we have no ability to engage in substantial gainful activity. Support from Lindsay's parents don't count as income, and they shouldn't count in that calculus. But anyway, this stuff is there, and any so it's just important to kind of consider that and think about that. So we would like to talk about that tomorrow as soon as possible, because we have no, we seemingly haven't made any progress on finding a new place. And I think the calculus on finding a place, where we're going to go, how long we're going to be there, and what the goals' probable contribution, financial contribution to the housing will be, I think the calculus is going to be radically altered, or can be radically altered, if the goals choose, because we can't afford a patient advocate. I can prepare all the information, do some of the research, and I guess maybe even do the actual search process if my health holds up in this place. But I don't have the means to hire these people. So anyway, that's what we like to talk about. And there's other things too, but this has been too long. I'm sorry. It's just Airbnbs are tough. Anyway, thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.